Hey, Ducks fans, welcome back to Off the Fowl Pole, our online series where we catch up with some notable Ducks alumni. This is episode 4. We most recently spoke with Dan Lyons a couple weeks back, and now we've got a couple members of the 2019 Atlantic League champion Long Island Ducks joining us, and they happen to also host their own podcast from the West Coast. Today, we have Bennett Parry, left-handed pitcher, and David Washington. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. How's everything been?
Thanks for having us. It's been awesome. We're a few episodes into the podcast grind and just kind of enjoying it.
What he said.
I mean, you guys are living in San Diego, so it's pretty hard for life not to be awesome. We're dealing with, cold temperatures in the 30s and 40s out here, and I have to assume you're probably at least 30 to 40 degrees warmer out there.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here. I don't think there's a better place to live in this country. I'm not going to spend time, making people that live in Long Island feel bad. I think I could speak for both of us. We had a great time living there, but I think we're both happy to be living in San Diego.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And one thing that Ducks fans may not know is that you guys are now officially roommates together. Talk to us about how that's been.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, nah.
We'll try and keep it as simple as how much you're enjoying it and what life has been like, rather than going.
No, it's been a blast. Like I said, it's been part of the podcast thing, and of course, like there's stuff that like you have to figure out as roommates, right? You're spending a lot of time with people that, like, even though we were like in the clubhouse together and stuff, we didn't necessarily live together. So like just figuring basic stuff out like that. And I mean it's made, the podcast thing easy because we're always around, we're always talking, just kind of like turn the mics on, let's go.
So you never lived together previously as roommates on the road? Or
no.
We never were road roommates?
No, we weren't road roommates. We just the locker room. We were in separate cottages in Long Island.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, fair enough. So you talk a lot about the podcast. It's called Riding the Bus, where the two of you talk about a wide variety of different topics, and especially current things going on in the professional sports world, as well as your experiences playing professional baseball and literally riding the bus. So tell us a little bit about how that came about and what your focus is.
I mean, basically what it comes from is like me and Bennett have always just talked too much.
I can vouch for that.
And right, like anybody who's been around us in the clubhouse, weight room, field setting could tell you, like, yeah, we like to talk. And I mean, it was kind of like one of us planted the seed like a while ago, just kind of like, yeah, it'd be funny if we had a podcast. And then it just kind of started to make more sense, like as the pandemic hit and like, just kind of like trying to figure out stuff to do. It was like, yeah, like, what about that podcast idea? And yeah, so it's really just like kind of where our minds go and interesting conversations that like we would have in the club out, like in all those situations. And we just kind of found a way to put it, on a platform that someone can listen to.
I was going to say, I don't even know if it was one of us that was like the one that planted the seed, or just like.
Oh, I know specifically that it was me.
Was it?
Yeah.
In general, just
taking all the credit is David Washington.
100%. I need all my credit.
All right. Well, what I was going to say is that I think it was just, being in the clubhouse and in Long Island was the first time we were ever on the same team, but we've been working out together in the off season for a while now. So just like that setting of so many people when we'd have conversations being like, you guys should have a podcast. Like, this is one, because hopefully they were fans of the conversation we were having and liked them. But two was like, yeah, you should do it there. So then you don't have to do it here. So like I can choose if I want to listen to it or not. And most of the feedback I feel like we've gotten on the podcast has been those people being like, yeah, I love it in this setting. And so I can kind of
in actual real life.
Right. But I was actually thinking when we were going to do this, I was like, Polak is actually one of the few people that's been on a bus with both of us and understands that a little bit.
Now, see, what many don't know is when you're on a bus with a professional sports team, there are two kinds of athletes. You've got your athletes that just get on the bus, instantly fall asleep, stay asleep the whole ride, no bumps, no noise is going to phase them. And then you have the others who are awake the entire time, whether they're playing games on their phone, talking to others on their phone, or just conversing with each other. So it's obvious which aspect the two of you fell into.
Correct. You said that there's David Washington and there's Bennett Parry. That would have been the way to explain the two different types of athletes on buses.
And who would who be in that case?
Honestly,
I'll let you take that.
No, I mean, honestly, I don't think like our on bus behavior does not match really the I think Bennett kind of locks into movies and I kind of lock into music. And I think we're I don't think we're big sleepers, but we're both big headphones on guys. But no, I experience most of the bus rides as far as like being awake and alert.
So both of you are headphone guys. So you're not necessarily having these type of in-depth conversational podcasts, conversational topics on the bus. But in this case, you bring that together and you've gone up and down the East Coast, you've gone across the country, you've gone overseas in your different travels throughout professional baseball. So clearly you've had a lot of time to discuss and think about some of the topics that you talk about. How much of it is recapping those old moments from your career and how much of it is discussing what's currently going on in professional sports?
I think it's been kind of like 50-50 so far. Yeah. At least the idea is that it's kind of 50-50. I think it did take us a while to, I think, ultimately come up with the name of the podcast. I think we had come up with a couple and it was already taken, type of stuff. So yeah, I think the idea behind the title is not so much that we were having these conversations like on the bus, like you said, but like the vibe behind like when you've spent so much time riding these long bus rides and playing, like the perspective that gives you on different stuff. So I think that's more of like our outlook on current stuff that's going on in sports and just like stories from the minor leagues that aren't like your typical, watching like Bull Durham or something like that, the funny ones, but just like this was just like a story that happened. It could be funny, it could be serious, it could shed some light on kind of what the professional baseball player goes through.
I'm pretty proud to say I think we haven't done too much of the like opening the yearbook on the podcast. I mean like we've talked to we talked to like Daniel Fields and stuff, and obviously we have some stories and whatnot from our time playing with the Ducks. But for the most part, yeah, it's more about what's going on now and kind of just talking things out and sharing our perspective that you get from like going and seeing a bunch of random places on long bus trips.
Well, without question, it sounds like a must listen to for all Ducks fans. Tell our fans how they can tune into the podcast.
They can either follow us on Instagram, where there's a link for a link tree that takes you to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We have a YouTube channel now because we film it. If you'd rather watch the podcast and just listen to it, you can go to YouTube. Or you can just type in Riding the Bus podcast to any of them. I would say the easiest way would be to go on Instagram and click the link on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, we will definitely be tuning in. I hope all of our fans that are tuning into this will also check out the podcast. Switching gears now, let's talk about 2020. Obviously, the pandemic has affected all of us. David, I know you had the chance to play and actually won another championship, this time in the American Association with the Milwaukee Milkmen. Talk to me about your experience this past year and the challenges that came with playing in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh man, it was it made playing baseball a lot of fun. Like just thinking, for a long time that we weren't going to be able to do it, and then also the stuff like the protocols and stuff that kind of remind you every day that this is something we have to we've really had to fight for, and we barely got to play a season. Just made the time on the field just a lot of fun, even though it was a short season, and the fact that we won it all, of course, was really cool. Winning's always great.
So it had a little more special meaning winning given all the circumstances this year.
Yeah, it was like the what everybody was yelling after is we beat COVID, So but that was kind of the feel. Is there's a lot of adversity, And, anytime you overcome adversity, that's a really good feeling. So yeah, I had a really good time playing this past year.
I know there were a couple different things that we had previously talked about. One being the bubble format, where you were kind of playing in 3 different bubble cities rather than the entire league playing and all that travel. How much easier did only having to play in 3 cities total make life for you? Was it less taxing with the travel, less taxing with the chaos of all the road trips?
I don't know. It was interesting because it was like you take out like some of the extra travel. So yeah, there's more time at home, but then we also ended up playing the same team like 30 something times out of 60 games. So it's like, but that's like, yeah, it's it is what it is. And but no, I don't know, like I'd probably prefer to make more trips and play more different teams than just play the same team over and over. But it just kind of made things different.
And then in terms of the protocols, what were some of the protocols and routines that you had to go through to make sure everybody was staying healthy? And at any point, did you get any sort of sense of nervousness that things weren't safe for you guys?
Let's see. So, I guess there was always a kind of a sense of nervous. There's been a sense of nervousness for, I think, everybody, right? Just just since this thing hit. And as far as playing, I think everybody was kind of like, was so excited to play that the protocols didn't really seem like a huge deal. Like we get your temperature taken, whatever, wear masks in the dugout, stuff like that. Like, it was just I don't know, to me, it didn't cause like a huge panic. There were, obviously you get like the instances where someone tests positive and then it's like, okay, everybody has to get tested and that whole thing. But, generally speaking, I'd say the panic level was relatively low.
And David, last question for you about 2020. There were some fans, from what I gather. There were some fans at the ballpark.
Right.
How was that experience? And did you get the sense that the teams were doing the right things to make sure all the fans stayed safe and the fans followed those protocols?
Yeah. I think they were able to keep it like, under a certain amount, or there's a certain percentage, and everybody is kind of spaced out to where kind of like, dining has been, where it's like, yeah, you can go out and eat, but you sit with your own people, I see your own people, yeah, like you sit with your group and like you stay away from others and all that, and you put a mask on when you go up. And so all of that stuff was going on. And a lot of that obviously has, you have to have personal accountability with that. But from what I saw, people were really good about that part. And, yeah, I'd say, it seemed like everybody felt safe. People were able to come out to the ballpark and watch a game. I thought it was a pretty good fan experience in all the places we went.
That's certainly good news, and hopefully that can be the case in New York and other places across the country in 2021. Bennett, I know you didn't get the chance to play this past year, but talk to me about what life has been like in Southern California, trying to navigate this. I know things out there aren't necessarily great right now, especially in hospitals and ICU areas, but talk to me about what life has been like for you out on the West Coast this year.
It's been terrible. It's weird. I think it's weird for everyone. Obviously, it's not an ideal situation. It was definitely weird just from like a baseball perspective of not like playing. Like this is the first time in, I don't know, since I was a kid where I just like didn't play a season. So yeah, that part was definitely weird. There was like once like the season kind of started and we got into like, July and August, and we're like the heart of like summer, there was this like I didn't know like what to do. Like I was just like, I don't know what time I'm supposed to be at the field. Like I don't like, that's the only thing I've ever had to really know. Right. So like that was kind of weird. I kind of transitioned. I found like a travel team that I could coach and kind of like get into that and, see if coaching would be something ultimately post playing career, I'd want to do. Because I always thought of coaching as something I wouldn't want to do, especially like right when I was done playing. I thought it would be too hard to kind of like be around the game, but I've enjoyed it. So yeah, I've just kind of been doing that. And then obviously that was kind of how the idea of finally making the podcast happen was like, listen, got all this time. Because the talk on the podcast was always, yeah, we want to do it, but neither of us knew how to execute that. So like, it was like, okay, well, David's playing right now. He's down to do it when he gets back. I'm not doing anything. Let me just do a bunch of research on how to make that happen, and then just kind of watch like YouTube videos on how to like edit, like GarageBand and, for movies and stuff like that, and just kind of did that with my time because I had so much of it.
Definitely, certainly sounds like you've been productive given this whole situation that we've gone through. As a player, you've, as you mentioned, have played every year since you were a little kid. Knowing that you weren't going to be playing this year, were there things that you did to stay in baseball shape, keep your arm fresh, even though you weren't playing? What things did you do, if any, to try and make sure that you still stayed in that baseball shape?
I'm going to be honest with you, Polak. I did not stay in shape.
Okay. Fair enough.
Baseball shape, any type of shape. No, I tried to. I had a buddy of mine who is with the Twins, or was with the Twins, and he didn't make the squad or whatnot. And he was in a fringe 40-man guy, so they were like, stay ready in case we need you type of thing. And we were playing tennis a lot. That was kind of the thing we both took up. We met up and played tennis to like kind of, but that would be the only thing I would say I did that like kind of kept me in somewhat of shape.
So do you get the sense that going into 2021, both of you guys, are you intending on playing in 2021 and getting back to that kind of baseball shape?
I'm intending to. I'm planning on going back to Milwaukee to play for the Milkmen in 21.
I'm as of right now, I'm playing. I mean, ideally, I would like it to go back to somewhat normal, to go through that season. I don't really want to go through like a bubble type situation. So I'm kind of still waiting to see about that. But yeah, as of right now, I'm training and planning on playing, come season time.
Excellent.
We had our first live ABs against each other the other day.
That's true. You can check out that battle. Well, you could go to our YouTube page or Instagram and watch the battle.
I'm definitely going to do that.
Black Lightning versus La Flama Blanca.
It's true.
All right. I'm excited to check that out.
Yeah.
So let's take it back to 2019, the last time you guys were officially teammates with the Ducks. Bennett, I know it started out for you here and ended up in Mexico. Speak to me about what led to your success at the beginning of 2019. You had that same early success in 2018 and ended up going to Taiwan. In both situations, what would you attribute most of your success to?
It's a good question. I don't know if I think just doing what I've always done. I don't think I necessarily did anything differently. Definitely anytime me and D always talk about this a lot. Like anytime you go to a new team or new league or whatnot, like there's you're in a new city. So there's a getting comfortable aspect, and was obviously able to do that in 2018, but always like going back to, not like in the minors, you don't want to repeat levels, but there is a certain comfortability factor going back to a team you've already been, where the city, the restaurants around town, like the at the ballpark, like where the training room is, where everything is. Like I think that helps too, like the second time around.
It doesn't take you as long to get in a rhythm.
Right.
Not a question. And then as we mentioned, you went to Taiwan one year, Mexico the other year. Speak to me about the ability, I don't want to say the abilities, but the cultural differences playing in those communities and how difficult it is to adjust to the lifestyle and the playing atmosphere that you get in both situations.
Yeah, they are. It was really cool to see just like how the game that, we both played our entire lives, like it obviously is still baseball, but culturally, like they play it kind of differently, and it's like, it's almost like a different game in some aspects. So like, yeah, there's definitely an adjustment period. Taiwan more so just because like the time change and like it takes a long time for your body to kind of get with it. It was just a weird situation kind of when I went to Taiwan, like because the way it works there is like, one, it took me like a week to get my work visa. So like I was just kind of hanging out there and couldn't really go to the field. So like, middle of the season, just take a week off of throwing and not doing anything isn't helpful. And then it was during their like season where it was just raining a lot, and we just got. So I was the first month I was there. I think only pitched once,
Oh wow!
and it wasn't until the very end of the month. So like I got there 3 weeks, and there was like 2 weeks straight of, because they wanted to see me, obviously, of okay, you're pitching the next game. So like every day I was waking up, like getting ready, like I might start that day, and then we get rained out, and it was like 2 weeks straight of that. So like that, but like other than that, I mean, I love Taiwan. I would gladly go back. It was a great experience. I know also former Ducks player Tim Melville is there. I've seen him. I know he had a lot of success there, and most of the guys I know that have played there absolutely love it there. I mean, they very nice. I'm a big fan of Asian food, so
That's
I mean,
plus for sure.
cafeteria food was amazing. And then Mexico was obviously a different experience too. I'm not going to say I'm fluent in Spanish, but at least knowing some Spanish was a little bit easier than like in Taiwan where I needed a translator to go everywhere,
Right.
essentially. And
Great.
yeah, I mean, I love Mexico too.
Great insight, and definitely two experiences that I'm sure at the end of the day, when you look back on your career, that you'll be excited that you were able to take part in.
Absolutely.
And David, for you, you're with the Ducks in 2018, had a great year in terms of power, especially get to the championship series, lose to Sugarland. You come back in 2019, again, a great power season. This time you avenged that loss. How sweet was that for you guys at the end of the season to celebrate on the field in Sugarland and complete what you just came up short on the previous year?
Yeah, that was, I mean, just that series alone, like even if it wasn't like kind of a rematch situation, like the series itself was so fun. Like, I mean, it was a back and forth series, what were we like? I forgot exactly how it went, honestly, but I just remember each game being like a battle.
Right.
And I just really enjoy just like the competition aspect of playoff baseball. And I remember that being a really, really fun playoff series to be a part of. Yeah, of course, getting the ring after being there and losing the year before is awesome. But for me, it was all about, like, for me, it was the competition part was just like a blast.
We've talked about it with a couple others that we've had on this podcast, but the Ducks and the Skeeters kind of developed that rivalry, especially the way the last 2 years went. The Ducks and the Patriots have had a longstanding rivalry. Unfortunately, those two teams are now both out of the Atlantic League and playing in affiliated baseball. I know you're not a member of the Ducks right now, but how special were those two rivalries, and how much did it amp you up when you went into those games against Somerset and Sugarland?
Oh man, it was well, it was two different things. Like, because it was I remember Sugarland was like I love playing Sugarland just because I don't know, like it seemed more like a like your friendly rivalry,
Okay.
whereas like the Somerset games were like dog fights. Like, there's more of like a desperation, more of like a like we really wanted to beat those people for whatever reason. Yeah, like I don't know, like both really fun, but like yeah, like different energies to them. I remember they I was like the K-man in Somerset for like a whole season.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was, I remember, and like I remember being like, yeah, like this isn't fun. Like I like, you know what I mean? Like
I can understand that.
yeah, so I don't know, it's gonna be weird. Like who's gonna be like, is it gonna be High Point? Like who's gonna be the big rival now for the Ducks? Like that's gonna be really interesting.
Have they replaced those teams? Like, are there new teams now?
Nothing official as of right now. As the league stands right now, there's 6 teams: the Ducks, the Revolution, and the Barnstormers. You have High Point, you have Southern Maryland, and a new team that's going to be joining the league in 2021 in Gastonia, North Carolina. So surely High Point and Gastonia will become quick rivals. But a lot remains to be seen. We'll see what happens and where things take us before the official start of the 2021 season. I also want to throw it back to 2018 because that year, in your first year together with the Ducks, Bennett, you had the chance to start the AllStar Game for the Liberty Division. David, you took part in the Home Run Derby and the AllStar Game as well. How special was that honor for both of you, and how much fun did you enjoy playing in the AllStar Game in your home ballpark?
Why don't you take that?
Oh yeah, no, that was fun. Like I didn't like honestly, I haven't been in a lot of like AllStar games, so like And then just to have it like be at home, like one, of course, like the fans and stuff is cool because like they've been here the whole time. But like two, also it's like super comfortable. Like you don't have to like get in a van and like drive somewhere, like, you know, figure out transportation. Like you just chill at home. So I really enjoyed that part of it. And the home run derby was super fun.
I just remember I wasn't going to pitch in it because I think I had pitched that Sunday. It was like the last game of the first half, so it was going to be like 2 days later. I had gone like 6 or 7, and I know Baez, the manager at the time, like convinced me to do it, and I'm really glad I did do it. I didn't feel great, if I'm being honest, but like, yeah, that experience of like how packed it was and the energy in the stadium, and like, I all the best players in the league essentially. That was a really really fun experience, and it was one of those where I was like, I'm glad that I did it and didn't listen to like my first instinct.
You know what? You talk about the energy in the ballpark, and that's one thing I hear from so many guys who have come through Long Island and played for the Ducks. You know, they've gone and played in so many ballparks throughout their career, but Long Island was special with the crowds, the energy, that New York atmosphere. Having played in so many, both of you, over your career, how special is Long Island in that aspect in terms of the backing crowd atmosphere that you've had to play in front of?
Yeah, I mean, no, it gets electric in there, you know. I had a great experience playing in front of that crowd for, 2 seasons. Um, can't say enough good things about it. Yeah, it's feel like, again, like for me, like I think about the playoff games and how intense those games got, and a lot of that has to do with the atmosphere and the fans. And yeah, so can't thank the fans enough for providing that excitement.
And David, I can remember one moment specifically for you, Game 3 of the 2018 Championship Series, when you homered in the 8th inning to put the Ducks ahead when they were on the verge of getting swept, as among the loudest I've ever heard this ballpark.
Yeah, that was. I mean, and that's probably the coolest thing I've ever done in like a playoff game. Like, so that's probably one of my favorite moments on a baseball field. And I remember it was loud for that.
No
I
question.
would say I hope fans know like how important that is to the players to have, a stadium full of fans. I mean, when you're playing the minors, when you're playing indie ball, like, it can be a struggle sometimes. It can be a grind, and there can be times where you feel like, what you're doing like doesn't matter, kind of thing. That like when you have a full stadium, when you have people cheering, it just makes the games like more fun and seem like they matter. And that like, yeah, to some people might be like, oh, a rivalry between two indie ball teams. Like, what are we talking about here? But like, listen, I mean that stuff's fun to play in. Like that's what all these guys that are continuing to play and hopefully obviously want to get picked up and get out of here. Like every player that's going to dedicate their life to being an athlete is extremely competitive and loves those situations. So, I mean, fans being there is a huge deal.
No question. It enhances the atmosphere both for the fellow fans, for the staffs, and for the players that are taking part, without question. As we get toward the end here of this episode, I want to go back to the early stages of your career and just talk about some of your favorite moments from your pro baseball career outside of the Ducks. And David, to me, one has to be you're getting your call up to the major leagues to play with the Orioles. So take me back to that day when you get your call up, you get to the big leagues for the first time, what that was like for you.
Man, so the being actually told that I was going to the big leagues, I won't forget that. My manager at the time, he was very casual and very subtle about it. Like I just kind of happened to be in the locker room by myself, and he just kind of just like walked up to me, and like it was like as if he was telling me that we were gonna have a different like spread for lunch. He was just kind of like, yeah, you're gonna have to like pack your stuff up and meet the big league team in Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like obviously, I had to go and make that call to my dad and stuff, and that was that moment obviously is I won't forget that. Another story that like I don't know if I even told like Bennett this one, but like when I went up to Chicago, my old high school teammate Tyler Saladino was with the White Sox at the time.
Cool.
And like, so I was able to meet up. Like, we went and got breakfast, and he actually, because me being the unorganized person that I was, I hadn't gotten any like actual attire, like for like, in the big leagues, they hold you to a high standard. You're supposed to wear like suits and stuff.
Sure.
And I didn't have a suit on me. And I remember he actually went with me to like, I forgot exactly where we went, but we went and like, he actually got me a suit, like my first day in the big leagues, basically. And that, like, those kind of moments are like the ones that like, and also because like I didn't do much on the field, of course, but like those moments are the like things I look back on it from that time and be like, man, that was like really cool that happened.
No question.
Yeah.
It's a great story. I've never heard that story.
It's definitely like the best thing that happened to me while I was in the big leagues, for sure.
That's a memory that'll last forever without question.
Suits are exciting.
Suits are cool.
Yeah.
They are. I think I only saw you dressed up once in your time on Long Island. That was for the AllStar Gala.
Yeah.
I can't even picture you in a suit.
It's hard to do. Yeah. You gotta, I think all those pictures are burned by now.
I can understand that. I could believe that.
They're somewhere in your mom and dad's.
They are. Mom and wife didn't have one of those.
There you go. Bennett, how about you? Do you have one memory that kind of stands out from your pro baseball career as the moment for you?
I mean, obviously, I don't have a moment as cool as D-Wash's. I remember the first time where I got called up out of the GCL when I was at the Orioles, and I went to Aberdeen, which is their short season team. And it was like the first time I'd ever played in like, a professional night game. I mean, Aberdeen is, similar kind of what we're talking about, like Long Island, is they were known for having a lot of fans.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great ballpark.
Beautiful ballpark.
Yeah, so like that first time playing in front of fans and like people screaming and like that adrenaline, I remember being like, wow, I've made it. I mean, I was wrong, but I remember that feeling of like, this is awesome. Like, this is what I now get to say is my job, is that I get to do this.
That first night game is a big
deal.
Yeah.
I remember just shagging BP, and it was just like at night because it was before a night game being like, and like music was playing. I was like, this is baseball. Like, this is, like, so yeah, that was a cool experience.
It seems like a small step up when you look at, the full ladder of minor league baseball, especially how it was back then. But at the time, that's a major step going from rookie level to single A. So that's got to be a great feeling for sure.
I want to say thank you so much, Polak, for having us on and letting us plug our podcast and all that stuff and kind of relive some of those cool moments, especially with the Ducks and the fans and everybody that we've been involved with out in Long Island. And yeah, really appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. We appreciate having both of you join us, and thank you for all the memories that you created in your time on Long Island. Thanks again for everybody who tuned into this week's episode of Off the Fowl Pole, and we'll catch you next time. So long, everybody. Stay safe.